Hi guys. So most asset protection trusts either lock you out or completely fail and collapse in court. The hybrid bridge trust avoids both. It gives you full access when life is calm and maximum protection when your world is completely falling apart. And here's how it works and why it's legally different from anything else on the market for the last 30 years, so for 3 decades. So why do most trusts fail? Because they're purely domestic. Now, a purely domestic trust sounds great, like Nevada, Wyoming, Alaska, but the problem is you're a US citizen. The trustee is in the US. Your assets are in the US, which means any judge in, let's say, California, New York, Florida, Texas, Illinois can override those protections, and they do all the time. These trusts get pierced a lot. They offer an illusion of protection, but not the real thing. Another big problem is automatic triggers in offshore trust. This is another big mistake. The pitch sounds really slick, right? Like if you get sued, it automatically flips offshore. But that kind of automatic trigger with no human oversight is a legal red flag. Courts see this as a fraudulent conveyance and they throw it out. The courts require human oversight and a trust protector that oversees the trust and declares a state of duress themselves. Okay, so what about then just going fully foreign? Like, why not just create a fully foreign Cook Island trust, call it a day? Well, they're strong. Heck yeah, they're strong. The strongest thing that's there. But most people don't need one. They're way overkill for 99% of society, and they come with serious downside. We're talking $10,000 to $12,000 a year annual in maintenance fees just to maintain it. IRS forms 3520 and 3520As, which are mandatory IRS compliance. There's no way around them, and that's where most of that extra cost comes in. Huge penalties if you miss the filing, and zero help from the promoters that are setting them up afterwards. They just disappear. And in 99.9% of cases, a purely foreign trust is just overkill, like I said, for an average high net worth person. So why does the hybrid trust work? The bridge trust solves all these problems, and it has for over 3 decades. It gives you foreign level strength with domestic level simplicity, like a hybrid car, right? You're combining the best of both worlds, and here's how. You're the settler, you're the trustee, and the beneficiary. So yes, you're all three. That's called self-settled, but the trust is written to be 100% discretionary. And here's how. It's a discretionary trust, so creditors can't force distributions. It's a grantor trust under IRC sections 675 and 677. So you file taxes like normal and you still control your assets. Under section 7701A30E, it's classified as a domestic trust for IRS purposes. So you don't file those 3520s or 3528s. So none of those mandatory IRS disclosures that are costly. And here's the key. Human oversight. A trust protector declares an event of duress if you ever are sued and need to, and only then can it go offshore legally and strategically. Anyone selling you a trust with automatic triggers is selling you a trust that's just automatically not going to comply with the case law and be disregarded. And here's a real world example. So let's say you personally guarantee a $10 million loan and the deal collapses. The lender sues you and the lender wins. If you would have run that personal guarantee by your attorney, the trust protector, they would have probably advised against it. But even if you didn't, the bridge trust still holds because you have no legal right to force a distribution. And because of that discretion, creditors can't reach it either. The trustee can say no, and the protector can declare a state of duress and move the trust offshore if it's needed. So what does discretion actually mean again? It means you don't have a guaranteed right to distributions, and because you don't, neither does the creditor or the judge, and that's your legal firewall. Discretion is what gives the trust power. Discretion is the teeth behind it that are built into the trust. It keeps the court from forcing a payout even if someone wins a lawsuit against you. But here's where people get confused. Discretionary doesn't mean that you lose control of your life. Like you can still buy and sell property, use trust assets, pay for expenses, live in a trust owned home, reinvest however you want. Like it's your life, it's your assets. Do what you want with them. You don't have to run off to the trust protector every time you want to buy a couch or a cup of coffee. The trust protector only steps in when a major legal action is involved, like a large distribution, a loan, or asset transfer, triggering the offshore clause, big financial, legal, life altering decisions that you may need saving from. And they're not there to control you. They're there to protect you from outside pressure, bad timing, or creditor manipulation. So, just like our real world example that we gave with a $10 million personal guarantee, with the bridge trust, your assets are protected because you don't have a legal right to demand distributions. And if the lawsuit rises to that serious threat, right, the trust protector can trigger offshore protection, putting your assets completely out of reach of the lender or the judge. That's the difference between a trust that folds and one that actually holds up in court. And from a tax perspective, like we mentioned before, it's fully IRS compliant. And so what about adding assets, or if you have a prenuptial agreement, or you have separate property or community property? Well, you can also add assets to the trust over time, including income, real estate, even inheritance. And since you're also the trustee, you control what gets added as long as there's no legal threat. And if you're married, the trust also tracks whether property is community or separate, so nothing gets accidentally mixed. It protects your tax basis and preserves marital rights, all while staying legally clean and defensible. So let's just recap this, right? Domestic trusts are very weak. They're regularly pierced, they fail all the time. Fully offshore trusts are expensive and generally overkill with lots of IRS mandatory disclosures. Automatic triggers get thrown out by judges. The hybrid bridge trust gives you access, control, oversight, and proven legal strength. So think about this. If a lawsuit hits you next year, what's your legal strategy going to be going forward? Because you don't rise to the level of your income, you fall to the level of your legal structure.